Hello, this is XB, and thank you for watching this pre-release preview of Skyfleet. Skyfleet is a single and multiplayer session-based air combat game developed by one man at NO Games, with its first public playtest set for March 19th through the 21st, 2021, and a full release sometime in Q3 of 2021. The game is centered around you, the player, in your airship as you attempt to gain control of the hostile territory around your starting base in the land of Aerith. Among the floating islands are resource-generating islands which hold the precious Duraphyte, a mineral needed to upgrade your ship with better weapons and a variety of secondary items. While Duraphyte funds your upgrades, it's Uridium that funds your base building. Uridium can be gained one of two ways, either by the placement of farms or the destruction of enemy ships and structures. That's where Binocs come in. The Binocs are the enemy AI faction which is bent on destroying the floating islands through constant overharvesting, but more importantly, destroying you. In a player versus AI game, you will be up against gradually increasing waves of enemy aircraft from almost every direction. It's up to the player to shore up their defenses while trying to expand their territory and take the fight to the enemy. Think of it as a tower defense game, but where you also have to go on the offensive against the same enemy that is sending waves upon waves your way. So, what about the game modes? Well, Skyfleet has two ways to play: player versus AI or player versus player. However, in player versus player, you still have the constant threat of AI to deal with, and it doesn't discriminate against sides. In player versus AI, you can choose easy, medium, hard, very hard, and impossible. If you're playing solo, I recommend you don't go above medium. In co-op, the hardest I have personally played is hard, so I can't say how tough very hard or impossible must be, but I'm not entirely sure I want to. In player versus player gameplay, you face off against other players, of course, while still under the constant threat of the AI. Your goal is to destroy the enemy player's main base and thus win the match. Remember, they too will be attempting the same, so you'll have to balance offense and defense. It's in PvP that this game has the most potential for really dynamic team play. As players become more adept in the mechanics of Skyfleet, they'll start to work out strategies and roles. I'm looking forward to seeing how the PvP crowd develops in this game over time. So that's the basics of what Skyfleet has to offer, at least at the time of pre-release, but there is more I hope to see before it hits the Steam shelves. Mind you, this list is entirely my own personal wish list and should not be considered upcoming features or anything that the developer plans to put in. Number one would be different ship classes. This would make the team play much more dynamic and allow a deeper depth of strategy as players use different ships for a more unique strategic experience. Number two, different ship skins. As this is a solo developer, I'm sure he's struggling to put food on the table like many of us are. Offering cosmetic options for hardcore players or perhaps even clans would be a great feature to help both the developer out and give the players more ownership of their in-game assets and personas. Number three, on that note, clans, as I mentioned. The ability to create clans or guilds or whatever you want to call it would also be a great benefit towards more long-term PvP and group identity and ownership, and it would just make the game much more interesting because that brings in the human element. Number four, co-op campaigns. Now I realize this last one is way out of the scope of a single developer who's trying to get this game ready for a wide release. But perhaps a future variant with objectives and steadily increasing challenges for co-op play would be cool. Again, I don't expect that, but that would really be a neat addition to the game and really flesh out the PvE side of things. So that's Skyfleet at a glance, and I'm really excited to see where the developer goes with this game. If you like session-based combat such as War Thunder or Robocraft, or perhaps steampunk games like Volcanoids, Airship Conquer the Skies, or even the now defunct Cloud Pirates, a game which I personally quite enjoyed and thought died way too soon, you should add this game to your Steam wishlist. I'll provide a link in the description to the game, where you can sign up for pre-release test weekend. And of course, if you're watching this and that test has passed, you can still add the game to your wish list when it releases in the future. If you're watching way in the future and the game has already released, well, this is probably a stale review, and there's probably newer ones that I've done or someone else has done. So anyway, thank you for watching, and stick to the skies.